Joe Passaro. We just finished up a wonderful session where you were playing actually a NASCAR driver, a little bit stereotypical in some ways, but what I liked about it is that you brought some real personality to it. He did not end up being a two-dimensional character, even though this guy really could have been that.
Oh yeah, it definitely could have been like just like stereotypical kind of country boy, but he's like he's kind of a little bit more layered than you might seem at first.
So how did just the mindset that you get into for how you add the nuances, you add, like a little bit of tenderness here and there. Did you have a specific person that you're channeling? What do you do to make it not just get into this little two-dimensional slot?
I try to think like like how would I actually react in those scenarios where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think of like I'm really excited, but then like it's so dear to me, and I'm like, oh, well, actually, I have like a little fluttering in my heart. And sometimes I think of like actual people or actual things that are really important to me, and I think like, well, how do I feel about that? Oh yeah, okay, pretty important.
Well, you're also holding several things. So you're holding an accent,
Mm-hmm.
and look, I know a lot of people do Southern accents, but we're being kind of specific here because we're being from the true Southeast. It's Florida, which finding a Florida accent is tough, but you're not just necessarily. I mean, we even had a couple words we talked about, so it's not just a specific, a generic region. So you're holding an accent.
Mm-hmm.
You got this character that you're trying not to make fall into caricature, and then you also have this really nice way of breaking the lines up in a sense so that it's not just doing like you don't have just one sentiment for a line. How are you holding all of those things together and just letting it flow?
I'm from Texas, so like a Southern accent. If you're from Texas, you don't say you're Southern, you say you're Texan.
Right.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, for that, it's like once you have a command of the accent, then for me, I kind of draw on characters that I've seen in the past, and for me, like Mater from Cars was like
yeah.
Both his the way he talks, but also kind of how heartwarming he is as a person. So like kind of channeling someone like that. But obviously, he says bro a lot. So like then you're channeling a little bit more of like West Coast kind of attitude towards things. And so once you have the accent down and you have those characters in your mind, then what you're doing is it's kind of like wearing a suit. You're kind of just putting a suit on, or multiple suits, different components. And then once you have that suit on, then you're just acting as if how you would react if you were in that, or at least that's how I act, is how I would act in those scenarios.
Yeah, I think you're very sincere, and that's what came out. You weren't just trying to be. Again, you weren't trying to be a caricature, you're sincere. And you also did a wonderful job of understanding where the comedy was and not having to necessarily, hit the comedy on the nose. Let the emotion be what was, what drove it. Like there was one particular line where you just had this whole super sad, like, dude, why are you doing this to me? And it was so sincere, but because it was such a contrast with everything else, it makes it funny. Right. People in the control room are laughing.
Yeah.
That's just a really nice instinct that you have on that. So
thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome.
It's I feel like contrast in particular is really important for acting. So you're not just one-dimensional or even two-dimensional. You have lots of complexities, and so you're not just up here the whole time. Right. And you kind of bring it down, and there's adds a little bit more interest, I think, for the character. But I think also, I do this every day. I'm a young dad, so I make terrible jokes all the time, and it's part of my practice.
Well, the jokes aren't all terrible.
I mean, I think they're great, but
there you go.
I get lots of eye rolls, so.
And that's what comedy's all about. Joe, nicely done.
Yeah, thank you.